to Enter the Room, everyone. Thank you for those of you who tuned in this afternoon, actually this evening, actually. I so appreciate you stopping by once again for those of you who usually come through, and for all you newcomers. And this show could not exist without you all, the viewers, tuning in and participating. And I'm so excited, and I'm elated. I met this young man not too long ago, about a month ago, I believe, at the Pan-African Film and Arts Festival. And it was just random.
Yes, I see you. There was a
Oh, okay.
freeze on there for a moment.
Oh, okay. But as I was saying, again, welcome to Into the Room. And I met this wonderful, gifted, talented artist at the Pan-African Film and Arts Festival. He was actually in the marketplace, what is called Afro City, at Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza Mall. And I just happened to walk in and look to my left, and all of a sudden I saw this table with these eclectic, he calls them Afro combs. Here, some of us call them picks. And I had never, ever seen anything like it before. And it just grabbed my attention. So, of course, I had to engage in the conversation. And I want to introduce you all to this brilliant, talented artist, Mr. Kwame Bracco. He originally hails from the motherland, the country, Ghana,
Yeah.
and he's been in the States for a while, honing his artistry and his crafts. He is he's a visual effects artist, VFX, 3D. So he's not only has that skill underneath him, but he's also a sculptor. He knows how to work with resin. He knows how to work with wood. And then not just only that, but he's also a painter. Some of his artwork has been featured in Time magazine, Time City. He currently has some of his artwork over in Chicago, where I'm from originally, the city of Chicago, at the Adler Planetarium. There's an exhibition called Naya. Did I pronounce it right? Naya.
No.
And Kwame did the artwork for that exhibition, and it's there in conjunction with the young lady that is Natasha Womack,
Yes.
right? That's her name? Okay, so he and Natasha Womack and maybe a couple of other writers, they got together, they collaborated, and they put this fabulous exhibition that is currently at the planetarium, and it would be going on, I believe, for 2 years, correct? So you have plenty of time. If you're in the city of Chicago, go check it out. I plan to, when I go home and visit, I plan to check it out myself. But not only has he done that, he's done so many other things. He's also a musician. Yes, he's a musician as well. He plays the piano, and I saw a guitar. It looked like you played the guitar too, huh? And you're right. Okay, not only he plays the guitar and the piano, so he has what we would call in the technical. He also has sound design underneath his belt. But I'm not going to take up. I could go on and on talking about his resume, but I'm going to just dive into this conversation with him right now. And again, we welcome Mr. Kwame Bracco to enter the room. So Kwame, as I was going through your bio, and it's extensive, you've worked on films. I think for the last time, if I'm not mistaken, is it 18 films that you've worked on?
Yes, 18.
18 films. And so you've done some work for Marvel. You worked on the Avengers. So I saw the Avengers. So I can't help but ask.
Yeah.
So what did you do exactly working on the Avengers?
So I did a lot of the VFX, explosions, the kind of dust storms, any type of tornadoes. That's my background, visual effects. The same thing with Iron Man 3. I think there's let me see if I have you seen Iron Man? Any of the episodes of Iron Man?
Are you? I've seen. Are you talking about Iron Man, the movie Iron Man with?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
What's his name? I can't think of
So
his
yeah,
name right now.
When Tony Stark gets
Yeah,
hit, so explode. Sorry, when the helicopter comes to his condo, I was
yeah.
in charge of doing the visual effects parts for the explosion effects. So most of my work has been in the visual effects part, doing particles, dust, explosions, those kind of
Wow.
destructions, that side of things.
So now that you say that, is that's where the dark mists come in? Is that because you're doing explosions kind of on the dark side?
Well, Dark Mist had a interesting kind of background to it. Dark was just about my savvy complexion, and Mist was, people that knew me to just kind of be in the scene in the area, but just all of a sudden I'll just disappear, go do my own thing, and it was just that bad habit of mine. It's like I'm just very introverted, so I could be like at a little party and hanging out, and if I'm
Uh-huh.
out of it,
Uh-huh.
unfortunately, I even I'll say goodbye. So it's kind of like a mist and a myth, you know. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So just like
Cool.
I came up.
Cool. So working on the Avengers and and getting to in that, was it, I mean, how long to when they're doing animation, you know, how long it usually takes about what, 2 years to work on an animated film or longer?
Yeah, it can be, but for us, there's maybe about 50 studios that are working on the film. In our particular sector, there was about 300 artists working. So I did 18 films in 3 years. So you can imagine how much you're packing in week for week. It's about 60 to 70 hours a week, but you're enjoying yourself because that's just what you do. So
Right.
a film, Avengers, I spent about 4 months on, but maybe collectively of all the parts I had in the scenes, I'd probably say it was only about less than a minute because each
Wow.
frame take about a week to 2 weeks as you're doing the different effects and the 3D conversion. So we also did it in a way that I don't know if you had a chance to go into theaters and see it in 3D conversion. And so
Uh-huh.
that's what we do. We would apply technology that would allow you to put on the 3D glasses and see the Avengers in 3D.
I don't know if it was the Avengers or Black Panther. I don't know which one. One of them was shown, or maybe both, but I did see one of them in 3D.
Mhm.
Because I saw the Black Panther like three
Yeah.
times. I saw it like one day, then literally like 4 days later, I was back at the theater seeing it again. So, did you get a chance to work on that one?
No, I left the film industry just before it came out, so yeah,
Wow.
to do
But
else.
okay, cool. So, and you worked on DC Comics. What was the film that you worked on for DC Comics?
Oh, Wolverine. Uh,
Wolverine.
yeah, so that was very cool. Wolverine was one of our films, and sometimes I'm trying to remember the other one, Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh no, that one would be Marvel as well. Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, quite a bit. Sometimes I even
Wow.
back at the list. I haven't looked in a while.
Right, right, because it's so many of them. So, by you being um in the industry as a VFX, how often do you see people that look like you and I that's in that field?
Oh, not often. In fact, the studio I was in, about 300 people, there only about four of us were of color. That was it. And I remember looking around and saying, no way, this many people, there's gotta be more of us that do this art. But what I think is what it is that many of us don't see us doing this kind of thing because I did do a program out in South Central for the young kids program, and I went to speak to them about the work I did, and I was amazed. Practically 99% of them didn't even know this sort of career existed, and that people that looked like us actually did this kind of stuff.
Right. Because, I mean, kids can draw. I mean, it's because I take it that if you have the artistry in you, which you clearly does, you have it in you, that you can just transpose it to another medium, because visual effects is technology, but it's another medium, and displaying your artistry, which is something you evidently have mastered because you've worked on 18 films. And during that whole time while you were in the film industry doing that, well, how many years did you work in the film industry doing it?
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Mm.
So during that time, you said you only saw like 4 of you. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's
It was
some
very, very scarce.
wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. They need to do more work in recruitment, you know, and some of these human resources. Wow. So then after you worked in the industry, I read that you went to start working for a medical, or you worked for information technology company, and you was doing programming or designing for a medical
Oh yeah, so
company.
after that, I went in to be a creative director for a medical company that did media for the medical education. And so basically, what my job was to, they didn't have a department set up yet. So my job was to come in, establish a department, hire, create a group of artists that would be able to translate, you know, educational needs for surgeons, doctors, nurses. So, for example, you know, if there's um, an appendicitis or some sort of surgery, we would create the animations and effects for all of that stuff. So I would train everybody on how to do some of the media magic and whatnot. And yeah, so for 6 years, I worked in the medical field, meeting with surgeons, doctors, and just creating, you know, hundreds of media based on medical health and, you know, all that cool stuff.
Amazing. And was that out here in California, or
Yeah,
that was somewhere else?
yes, Glendale, California.
In Glendale, California. Wow. And even I can imagine, even in that field, you didn't probably see too many of us there
Well,
leading.
well, we didn't, but I hired and made sure we did. So, you know, since I hiring,
My,
that's what it was. In fact, our first lead ended up being a young black woman. And it was interesting because when I was going through the hiring process, I knew right away what I wanted to do. I told myself when I ever get to this place, you know, I'll go for it. But she was this young girl who had amazing, amazing talents, and she just worked as a front desk clerk at a art gallery. So she didn't have any experience. So I rolled the dice and took her on. She ended up being our #1 employee, you know, advanced in the way. She ended up moving on to bigger and better things some several years with us and had a great portfolio that she was able to move on with. So
thank you
yeah,
for looking out for a sister.
yeah.
Wow, kudos to you. Thank you. Because a lot of times, you know, well, some of us, when we get into certain spaces, we're too afraid to bring somebody else that look like us, and because we don't want to, we think we're going to make other people feel a little nervous.
Hmm.
But you have some people that think that way. But it's so refreshing to know that you like you said, you immediately knew in your spirit that okay, I want to bring this person. And I love the fact that, because how does one get experience unless a door opens for them? You know, even if they had gone to school in a particular field, but they still need the experience. In her case, she didn't even have the background that you have, but you saw something in her to open up that space for her, to develop her, to now she can write her own check. If she learned well, like you said, she went on to be the one of the number ones. She's moving and shaking, and so I just want to thank you.
Yeah.
I don't even know her, but I'm just glad that you had that mindset, because that's what it's about. It's about being able to you know, to help our fellow brother. What does it say? The scripture says, am I thy brother's keepers? Yes, you are, you know? And so, so you were able to do that, which is awesome. I know at some point after you had done the medical, then you just start, I mean, when I look at some of the stuff that you've done, and I want to get to like your own artwork, because I know you've been doing this and that, but like for instance, the Time magazine, you know, I mean, I there that there's the one with the elephants that I've seen, and then there's the one that I really love, the woman, like she's hula hooping through the air. I mean, what motivated you? What inspired you first with the woman with the rings around her? What motivated you to paint that?
Um, you know, I'm a futurist artist, and what that is artists that look to, you know, we see a lot of positivity. We search for peace. We want, you know, to know that we're included in the future. And so when I do these pieces, most of them are inspired by a sense of peace. So you see a lot of my pieces, you have a full moon, you know. I find it very relaxing and peaceful. And sometimes, you know, I find that, well, when I do the art and I'm selecting the characters at a particular moment, I'm selecting the character that I'm going to create. There's just a meaning behind it, and why is it affecting you, or what am I seeing here? And so I chose her and created her in that essence, because when I think about her, I think about my mom, my sisters, you know, all the black women in my life. And I see, you know, to do a male figure for me, when I do it, sometimes I don't quite have a good reason for it, unless, you know, there's something I want to bring into the story. And so I just find that well, first of all, I think that there's more pleasantness and gracefulness to the art. And so it shows a lot of, you know, freedom in it. And one thing I like to think about is, when I'm doing the art, so I'm doing a series right now called The Cosmic Creation, where it has these nebula forms and its creation. And what it is I went to reach back from a thought that I had when I was a child. And I remember they would always say something like, uh, it's woman because she comes from womb of man. And so I remember, you know, as an artist, you're picturing all this. And I remember seeing pictures of where it'd be like, okay, she came from the rib of man, she's woman. But in my head, I was like, wait, but that's weird. If if I'm born from her, how the heck can a woman be from a man? And it would never made sense. And so I would
Uh-huh.
artistically recreate these things. And so this whole cosmic thing is about that. And so you see, it's a lot of the feminine woman breathing air and life into man. And it's me
Yeah.
making sense of what, you know, I would see, but symbolizing it through
Uh-huh.
cosmic planets
Right.
growth.
That could be a very interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that could be sitting around a round table discussion between men and women. Well, who came first? Who's it? Yeah, you know. But it's so pretty. Because I've seen both of them create. It's called creation, cosmic creation,
Yeah.
like you said. And one piece was featured, or was it the same piece that was featured in the NFL? I know the pre-Super Bowl,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And then yeah. Yeah. And then I saw that it was featured also, or was it a different one, but still Cosmic Creation featured down in Miami, Miami Basil,
Yes. Yeah.
the Miami Art
So,
Basil. Yeah.
yeah. So this series showed up in and the NFL The Babies concert in Vegas. by a group, NFT CLT, that well, I'm just kind of getting my thoughts together because it was really cool to see. So yeah, the baby and a few other artists had a performance, and so they had the large screens, and my art was selected to be playing behind them through their performance. And then of course in Art Basel, I had a chance to get my art presented in a few of the different, high established clubs that have these large screens. And then also I think in Las Vegas, a place called it's Voot. I'm kind of new to it, but there are a lot of artists that go out there and they have these large
Is
frames.
is it Area
Yeah,
51? Is that
yeah, that's it. Area 51.
Area 51?
So it's
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
relation.
Yeah, when I saw it, so pretty. I was sitting there. It really like when it just draws you in because you're like, wow. And I can imagine. Now, I don't. Have you had a chance to go to the planetarium yet in Chicago?
Not yet.
Not
There's
yet. Um, huh?
I went there as a child. That's why it's kind of surreal to see like this is happening. I do remember going there when I was a child.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Did you? I mean, right? I remember school field trips. The Science and Industry Museum, and then and the Chautauqua and the planetarium. So and seeing it, when I saw the creation, if you could just picture in something like that, in the wall, just I bet it is just something to mouth dropping to see that on a bigger, I don't know if you had a chance to check out the Van Gogh exhibit.
Yeah.
I went to the Van Gogh.
Oh,
Yeah, did you see it?
I haven't seen
You
it
seen the
bit, but I would love to get this. When I made these pieces, that was actually with the intention because I'm into a lot of VR, virtual reality, so I throw the goggles on. So I've always had this idea where, from seeing that I'd like to do some sort of immersive art. So creating, once I finished the planetarium work, I kind of went to advance the art that I was doing with it. And so yeah, to answer your question, it would be amazing to get it into
Oh,
that's
it would be to see something like that, to be able to walk and just look. And it's just, and the way you have it moving, gotta have the right music, of course. And you have it, it sounds good. But just, you can't, it's just like walking through cosmos, like walking through space. And to be able to see it, and the colors are so pretty. I mean, yeah. So then I noticed that you did something called losing myself. That is pretty. That is, how did you? That's what it's like. How do you come up with these concepts? Because she looks like she's reaching down.
mhm.
For anybody who's curious to know what I'm talking about, you can always go on Kwame's Instagram and follow him, or you can click because I made into the room. I made a slide and I incorporated that piece, and it's called "Losing Myself." And he wrote a poem. I can't remember what was in the poem, but visually, that is just. I mean, really, you just stare at it, and be amazed like a child, like, wow. And
Mhm.
it's so pretty, and the music behind it, and the colors, pink and brown. I mean, your colors, I, I'm it's just fabulous. And so, I mean, what was the motivation with that piece?
Well, first off, let me give a shout out to Isaac and Yawcliff. I see they came in here. These are a few artists that have been in the game with me quite some time too. So I just want to give them a quick shout out.
Hi.
And yeah, so that one came at a time of transition from working the corporate job to going on my own because so my track went from working in the film industry to the medical creative director. Then I went into gaming for a year where I did sound design and also VFX and animation. But after they let the creative team go, I had a choice to either go back, find something, do I could have, but I thought that I was ready to finally go on my own and just do something new. And so
Mhm.
uh, at that point, losing myself was basically the symbol about of it is it's you'll see she's reaching into a hole where there's a hand coming up, but what is happening is that is her. She's inside the hole and she's actually floating away, and as she's trying to her the old self that is down there is kind of trying to pull up, but she's like, no, I'm gone. But she's kind of reaching, and that's what is I'm losing myself. But it's like you have to lose yourself to find yourself, you know.
Right.
So in all actuality, that is a symbolism of myself. Why don't I use myself in the character? It just wouldn't look as cool. So yeah, more and grace, and so I did that and the music that follows it too.
So you did the music for that too.
Hmm.
The music is, oh, I love the music. I was listening to it. I was like, oh man, the song is nice. It's nice. So, okay, so now, you did the visual effects. You're still doing that, inside. But now you've just been like doing a lot of sculpting and these picks or Afro combs that are like the bomb. He was so kind enough to give me one. He blessed me with one. Um, how did you come up with the concept? I mean, what you just said, let me just start making them. I mean, how did you come by doing that?
Oh, I broke my original comb, and I had a 3D printer that I just bought. So I broke the comb, and this was around COVID when, it was just hard to get out and get to the store. So I thought, well, let me just print a comb. And so I just printed just a regular random comb. But then I thought, I bet I can make one that looks even nicer than this. And then I went and sculpted one. And then from there, it gave me the idea, why don't I just make a few variations? And uh, it so happened I put them up on Etsy few years ago. I made a whole bunch and they sold out within, you know, a day. And from there, I was just thought, okay, well, this is a thing. So I didn't stick with it all that time, but I just would improve the design as it would go and then turn it into art and then some into functionals.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you do a lot of, that's what I noticed about you, that you do visual art, but you also have that functional art going on, which is, I think is really cool too. Because I know you've been making sculptures of the panther, that's real pretty. And then I think you have one, is it a dog?
The Doberman.
And okay, so yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it, and then how you do the different paint, the iridescent. It's so. It's now that's gonna be part of your home decor line that you come out with.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been experimenting with these gravity flow incense. Have you ever heard of that? Gravity flows?
Um,
Well, maybe they're called backflow. So I stumbled upon one of these incense and I saw the smoke going downwards. And so I thought it was kind of a unique thing. And so I figured out, I thought to myself, how can I make this in one of my sculptures? So I spent some time doing some sculptures and I figured it out and tested it out, and then that was the birth of it. So I'm trying to do about 5 of them, which would be the panther, it's the panther, the Doberman. I have a giraffe being uh, being processed right now, a lion, and an elephant. Those would be the 5, and
right. Yeah, because I was like, don't leave the elephant. I mean, don't leave the lion out.
exactly.
I'm like, you can't leave out the lion.
Almost out of now, so I have to throw that in there.
Cool. So, so now that you've got your own line of Africombs that's going, and now you have like it seems like you're doing your home decor. I'm gonna just call it a home decor art
Yeah.
deco figures that you doing. Do you like? Well, let me go back. Um, when you was working in the industry and doing all the work that you was doing, working on these films as a VFX, what was the most challenging project that you worked on?
Mm, I would have to say. You mean which of the films?
Yeah, which of the films?
Wow, that's a tough one because I feel like equally, I would have to say The Avengers actually was the tough because there was a scene in there with um Hulk, and this is when Iron Man is kind of knocked out of the air and he's gonna go and slide down the building. He catches him in the air, slides down the building. And so I did the part with um all the particle effects of him sliding down the building, the crumbling and all that dropping. That probably was probably the toughest part.
Mm, wow. And when you got into the field, like what were some of the challenges that you had faced when you was like just going into the field? Or did you feel like you had any
Oh,
challenges to going straight?
the first challenge was I didn't even know the software they used. That was it. They came in when I got in. They asked me which softwares I used. They told me what they used, and I had never touched any of them before. So it was really, but I knew I was gonna just knock it out because what they were interested in was the fact of what I could do. And can I tell you an interesting story of actually how I got into this film industry? So what happened
Yeah.
was in Florida, and there was a school out there, visual effects and animation artists, and these were some graduates, and they were just about to graduate. And so a film studio came out to Florida to interview them. A friend of mine was out here and said, "Hey, why don't you go see if you can have them look at your stuff?" And I remember just telling him, like, "Dude, I'm just at the airport. I don't have my stuff ready." And he said, "Look, this is an opportunity. Just go and see if you can catch them. He was somebody that was working in there, but he told them to just wait for me. So I go there. There's about 300 applicants. It's about 4 hours of interviews, and I wasn't scheduled to have one. So I took my demo disc in, and they're packing up, and I just said, "Hey, I'm the last person. Can you guys check me out?" And I remember the guy just they were worn down. They took my work, they put it on the computer, and they just looked at each other. And guy said, "Yo, you did this?" Like, yeah. They both sat down, asked me a few questions, and then the guy was just like, "Yo, this is one of the best that we've seen all day." And so 2 days later, I got a call and they said, "How would you like your first film to be The Avengers? Would you like to fly out to California?" And that changed my life. That was it. Just that, you know, little moment.
That, that is amazing. Fantastic. Wow, that's what you call a divine appointment. Your friend, see, and this goes back to what I'm saying, looking out for when your friend knew what you was capable. He knew what you came with, and he felt confident in knowing who you were as a person and knowing your artistry. And he gave you the heads up, and he talked to them about you. And so you had to fly. You flew down to, or no, you was already in Florida,
Yeah,
right? You was
yeah.
already in
It gave me
Florida.
two weeks in California to pack all my stuff and move because they
Oh, so you had to move in 2 weeks? Really? Wow.
yeah, because the thing is they came there to um, interview graduates in the
Right.
program. And so those people are already ready to go. So when they called me, they said, "Well, can you come to California in 2 weeks?" And I'm not going to drop that opportunity. So I said, "Yeah,
No, of course not.
figured it."
So you weren't even attending the school there, or you was just
No, I was
he just
in a different program, yes. But my artistry was just in something different. So I got hired for something that I wasn't going to school for. It's just I had a bit more of a passion in what I was doing.
that's a dope story. Wow, and from there life just changed
Yeah,
completely.
yeah.
Did did you always know that you were going to be an artist when you was growing up? When you was growing up in Ghana, did you know
hmm
that you were going to be this big artist?
No, I wouldn't say big artist, but I knew I was gonna be a artist for life. To me, I didn't know what else I would do in my life. That's just my how my thought process was. I used to just always think to myself that, there's, I mean, I knew I could do a whole lot of things, but I did not want to do them. The only thing I wanted to do was be a creative. I did not know I would get to the point that I did. But, when I look back at it,
Right,
it was meant to be.
right. If you had to give, well, before I get to that question, since living in how long have you been in the States?
I've been in the States for about 50 years.
I'm sorry.
About 30 years.
Oh, 30 years. Okay. So, so you've been in the state for like 30 years. For those of us who born and raised, our families have been here. Like if you was, and not just for us, for those of us who's been here, but really anybody, what advice would you give? What do you feel like? Let me ask you this. What do you feel is necessary to have in order to succeed in the field that you were in and just in life, period? Coming from where you're coming from, because a lot of times, sometimes I think people here don't necessarily take advantage of the opportunities that are there, that a lot of times other people from other places come, and it seems like when they get here, they hit the ground running, and they're moving, they grasping everything that they can. And then sometimes for those who've been here for a while, they don't know what to do, or they know what to do versus by what they've been told to do. You get what I'm saying? Like, my friends and I, you go to school, you go to college, and you get a good job. That's, this is what you're told, right? But a lot of times, and I have friends in different fields, a lot of us went to school for certain things, but we ended up doing something creative. We're in the arts. I'm doing this. I mean, we're doing a lot of different things, and and you know, in your case, you said you always knew that you was going to be an artist. Um, do you think that it's solely education first that gets the person there to where they need to go? Or is it just focusing on whatever your gift and talent is and networking like crazy? Or is it a little bit of a combination of both?
Well, I believe that it's really about passion, drive, and believing in yourself, because when I look back at it, sometimes I can't believe what has happened and how things have gone. But when I think about what I did and how I felt and how I maneuvered, that's what it really was about. It's just, I remember telling everybody I'm gonna see my name in some film credits. When I saw the movie Matrix, that's when I knew I said it. I used to go tell people that, oh yeah, I'm gonna work in movies and I'll see my name in credits. And it became such a drive that for me, I you have to understand I'm living in Minnesota trying to think, how do I get my name in movie credits? This boy from Ghana, how's that gonna happen? But um and you speak about education. That's interesting because when I think about it, I got in trouble a lot at school, and I only got in trouble because I was always drawing while I was supposed to be paying attention. So I remember the teachers used to always take my papers and probably make fun of me and pin them on the wall, but I was so heavily distracted. And the education helped, but I feel like the drive is more important, knowing what you want and just going for it. And I know it's a scary thing because I've had a lot of people say, well, my agree with me pursuing art. They want me to do this or that. And my folks saying they wanted me to pursue the medical side, which I did go to medical for just a moment, and then that's when I switched. And so, but what it was just the drive. And I remember telling my folks one day I'll figure a way to fuse science and my arts, and I did when I went to the medical field. And I just told them I told you so. So it was really the drive, yeah, the drive, and
It was
passion.
Right, because sometimes, so you were saying your parents wanted you to go into the medical field.
Yeah, they were both in the medical. They saw me talking about drawing and doing all this stuff. It make me
They was like, "What is this kid doing?"
exactly coming from an African family. It's just like, wow, really? This is. I remember when we finally went to the movie theater. We sat in the credits and they saw my name, and I just sat back with a smug look on my face. And my dad just gave that final look of approval. He's like, okay, there's nothing. It was game over.
You had look, you had shut your parents' mouth up.
Um,
In fact, you became famous in Ghana
we were
because
all
you know they call everybody back
oh yeah, pictures, everything was being sent back. So I got mine. It took a long time, but I got it.
right. You're the star of the family now. It
Yeah,
always goes that way, you know.
you have to be.
You Hollywood to them, so it's like
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Plus, I was the rebel of the family, so yeah, you have to go through those things and hope for the best.
Right, right. So that's amazing. Um, so passion and 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 um and stick with it. Basically, that's what you're saying. Because you and I believe that. I believe what you're very passionate about will eventually lead you to the wealth that you may seek or the fulfillment um, that you yearn for. I can identify it,
Mm,
and I
yeah.
think that when you're doing, you know, you can do. I'm a person, and I've worked in corporate America. You know, I have the skills. You know, I used to work in law firms, but I've always grown up in music. I used to sing in the choirs. I even sing. You know, I act. I have a background in theater and directing and producing. So, stage plays. So I understand that need and that drive to be creative because that's who you are. And you know, I always say the Most High is the ultimate creator, and we're just his little, you know, we're his children. So it's in us to create, right? And to express ourselves, and which be it visual or be it literary, you know, those who write, you know, if you're a writer, um, be it, you know, music or vocally or instrumental, you know, there's a lot of ways to express the inner soul of a man. And art changes. Art can affect society. Um, you know, a lot of times we're the voice for the people in so many ways because we see things and we have a way of expressing it that some people don't know how to get it out. You know, and so in fact, one of my favorite artists is Stevie Wonder, who is living in Ghana, from my understanding. He moved to Ghana. He goes back and forth, but my understanding he has a home, and he's a prolific, you know, artist, songwriter, and all of that. So that's pretty cool. I like your journey. With that being in mind, I'm going to open it up for those who have any questions. Do you have time for a question? Do you have
Yeah,
time for
sure.
questions for me? Okay. So if anyone have any questions for Kwame, for maybe like a couple of questions, you're free to, you know, you're free to come into the room if you like and ask him directly, comment section, and I will ask him for you. So I see one of my coworkers who used to work with me in the law firm, Zora. Hi, Zora. And I see Il Sanata and Santa. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right, but I see you. Um, I see you. Um, so, so what's on the agenda for Kwame now? Like, what are you going to be doing now? Because you have so much going on. You have the planetarium. exhibit going on. I know you've been sculpting and you have Africa. Oh, somebody, okay. Hey, hi T. Hold on for a second. I'm bringing you in. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on, I'm bringing you in. Okay. Instagram. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on, Trish. There she is. I just accepted it. I just accepted it, T. I don't know what's going on. She's trying to come in.
Oh,
That's what's happening. She wants to ask you a question. I'm trying to bring her in. I don't know. You know, this is where, hold on. T, I'm going to let me send the request to you and then I'll bring you in that way. Hold on for a second. Okay. Okay. I just sent you the request, T. So
mhm. Yes.
okay. I don't know. I don't know. And she's there. I don't Can you hear me, T? There she is. There she is.
Hey,
Woo! Instagram be taking us through, right?
Kwame, I have a question. I heard when you said about the story about in school when your teachers was saying that you was drawing and they thought you wasn't paying attention or whatever. My daughter, she's a fashion designer, well, up and coming fashion designer, and she went through that same thing. That she used to draw all the time, and they used to put her out of class, said she wasn't paying attention, send her to detention, and she feel like she lost her drive, but she's trying to get back into it now. What would you tell a child that's going through that now? Like if the teachers feel like, oh, you're not gonna be nothing, or you just drawing all day, not
Mhm.
knowing that's really their passion.
It's so interesting you said that because that's the only reason I ended up in detention a lot too was because of drawing. And it's amazing when I think back to that, that sort of behavior, it's and limits your skill growth. Like you said, now they're going through the kind of drawback where you don't even feel like you want to do it. What I would say is simply tell her just get back into it. Just do it, right? But you know, she is gonna have to pull away from doing it in school and trying to find a balance where she's doing it out of school so she doesn't get caught with it. The unfortunate thing is that when the passion hits you and the drive is there and you're so inspired, it's hard to not let it go. But what's happening is, as the teacher was talking, it's not that I didn't want to pay attention to them. It's just my mind was just there. My mind was, and what it is your mind is honing skills. I just kept wanting to get better and better. The idea
Mm-hmm.
coming out, and if you don't have all of these ideas out, it starts to work on your spirit. And I think that's what got me even in more trouble because I couldn't get that. And for one, I was able to go back into, and what it was just what got me back into something new about it. So maybe we should look into some of the new software that is out there for fashion.
Right.
I have a lot of friends doing fashion arts right now. And
Okay.
just to go in there and explore what's going on in fashion now with the software device will start to ignite and then you just one thing, next thing you see is she's fighting again and just push her to do this is where it is. Knowledge.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
So, thank you, T.
Thank
Okay. So, let me ask you this. Where do you see or what would you like to see? If anybody else have any questions, feel free. I'll bring you in the room, or you can send and I'll let you in. Thank you for answering her question. You know, where do you see with the African American community that's here, and with people from the diaspora, such as yourself and others? Do you think there's a possibility, or it is actually happening, where we can come together and create art, and not just only art, but just help build up Africa? Do you see that taking place in the near future?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't think, yeah, I think the way to see it happen is as you search for it. But whenever I go to Ghana, more and more African Americans coming there. And every time I go in there, I'm more surprised because I hear the accent. And then I'll go to the local uh, Cape Coast where are, and I'll hear the accent, and I'll never say anything. Hey, you're coming from I just enjoy hearing it. And but when I the number one statement from every African American is they feel home and they are happy back. Now, country is also very so it's a lot of bridging happening, right? And a lot of it is actually happening in our art world, where the past several years the influence of arts, the technical age, there's been a lot of artists interacting from all sorts of the world. You know, you have these South American, Afro Latinos, European, uh, the Afro European, the different. So yes, there's a big movement of the like at the Pan African that's happening. And we do see it happening because more people are becoming artists that come from home are also are kind of inviting it. Hey, this is what our city, this is what our arts mean. Before you learned, before you learned about this type, hey, this was our mythology, and so kind of showing all of the history and the how we tie together.
Cool, 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 cool. Okay, so does anyone else have any more questions they would like to ask Kwame? Anyone? Don't be shy. So, so, um, so with the 3D, so a lot of them, I'm gonna just ask this one question. So with a lot of what you're doing now, you have a 3D printer,
Mhm.
a 3D printer. Isn't it really an expensive field to get into in terms of equipment and all of that, or it's
Oh
just like
no, not getting in this time. You can get pretty decent size printers to just start with. There are people that have become small $150 print machine and figured out
wow,
how to use it. And so most people that get in all then what they realize ideas get bigger and
right,
large ideas and get bigger. So no get into.
right.
Most of it is the
Wow.
learning curve of the technology. Get over that hump. It's just, you know, technology
Uh-huh.
is sculpting.
Right. And my last question, and this came to me earlier, but I think I'll close out with this, is do you ever see yourself producing your own animated film?
Very much, yeah. I do
You say yes?
very much, yes. It's something I've always wanted to do since I was little. And to this point, you know, I've worked on all the films, gained on why not? So uh, I like that you asked that question because I am working on something. It's just a very slow process because of everything else I'm doing. But I'm putting together something that I like bring and entertain, you know, the masses with.
Yes. when you know, I would love to bring you back so we can talk about whatever is going on. Yeah, I mean, because there's Marvel and DC Comics, but you the man that's been in there, so you can, you know, you can give us something creative. You know, we're gonna support it. We will go to the movies. You see, well, look what Black Panther did. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so, you see what I'm saying? So imagine an animated film coming from one of us that we can go out and support, and it'd be dynamic. I mean, you know, and you can tell the story. I mean, come on, you know. I mean, I have this dream of real Wakanda that we're building. You know, listen, I always tell people we have everything. We have the writers, the directors, the producers, the animators, the actors, the singers, the musicians. We got it all. We even now have our own studio, Tyler Perry. You know, so it ain't like we can't, you know, you know, the only thing we need to do is handle that distribution. But yeah.
Very important.
Maybe we have to do it like what the rappers did. Sell it and get it out.
Have to take it out that way. Work.
What'd you say?
It might have to work that way. That's how it works.
Hey, you know, cut the middleman. Well, Kwame, thank you so very much. Where can they follow you? Where can our audience follow you? Where can they follow you?
So all my social platforms is Kwame Bracco Art. As you can, KWA Bracco BR Art, and that's where the things I'm working on, sneak peeks, and the art that I do sell.
Awesome. This is the man. This is Darkness. He's you can find his name written in the Black Panther Cultural Exploration, written by Natasha Womack. He's also in Afrofuturism, written by her as well, Natasha Womack. And he's also in the National, I always get tired, the National American History Museum. Did I get it right? Right, he's everywhere. That's what I'm saying. I feel so grateful and honored to have Kwame to come into the room. He stepped in, and we met before, and I had told him when we met at the Pan-African Film and Art Festival at Afro City that I just had to set some time, and hopefully we could, make it happen. And today was that day. So I am so grateful. Thank you for sharing your time, your knowledge, your background, your history, and hopefully, you can come back again, if you have the time, because I know you're a busy man. And and I would love to hear more about what you're working on and your work and your music. I want to get more into your music, but I know, time is, is of the essence. So I would love to discuss about your music too, because I was listening to some of these beats. I was like, oh, hey.
Thank you.
Yes. All right then. Well, until then, thank you everyone for entering the room this evening with myself, Sandra Nicholson, and our special guest, Kwame Bracco. Until next time, you take care. Be blessed and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.